after having conversation after conversation with real estate agents all over the country, I am completely convinced that brick and mortar style brokerages are dead. That's what we're going to be talking about today. This is something that if you would have told me that this is what I thought about brick and mortar brokerages, even a few years ago, I would not have believed you because if you're new here, welcome. My name's Mariah. I'm a real estate agent in the beautiful state of Oregon. And I was with the same brick and mortar style franchise real estate brokerage my entire real estate career up until about 2 years ago. So I was with that brokerage for about 8 years. And then about almost 2 years ago or so, I switched to a cloud-based brokerage, Real Broker, which I always said I would never ever switch real estate brokerages. But not only that, I always said I would never, ever join a cloud-based brokerage. I had such a negative misconception about cloud-based brokerages, I guess you could say in general, in my mind. When I thought of cloud-based brokerages, it was not a positive picture for a handful of reasons, which I will share at the very end. I'm going to share my misconceptions, like what I truly thought about cloud-based brokerages before I joined one, why I said I would never join one, and then I'll share were my misconceptions true in any way? What are my thoughts now, a couple years later after actually being with one? I will share that at the very end of the video, so don't go anywhere. But first, you guys, I have a handful of reasons why brick and mortar brokerages are dead based off of the conversations I have all the time with agents, and we're going to get into that. I do Zoom calls often. I just got off of one about 10 minutes ago with agents who are considering joining Real Broker. If you're like, what is Real Broker? I have an entire playlist on my channel talking about Real Broker, so go find that. But I do these Zoom calls often. And because of that, it's really changed my perspective because I get to hear from these agents who are some unhappy with their brokerages, some are just not unhappy. They've just kind of see there is a better way, if you know what I mean, which that's the boat I was in. I was not unhappy with my brokerage. I was not actually planning on switching brokerages. I wasn't just looking for another brokerage, if that makes sense. I only switched brokerages because I found out about Real, and because Real had so many positive things about it that it just did not make sense to stay put where I was or do anything else besides switch to Real. So I was not unhappy with my brokerage, looking for a different place to hang my license. Many of the agents that I talk to, though, they are unhappy with their brokerages. And I do hear the same things over and over from agents that I get to talk to all over the country on these Zoom calls. I hear our brokerage is not the same as it was before. We used to have somebody working at the front desk at all times. Now there's nobody, or we used to have, 4 people working at the front desk at any given time. Now there is nobody at the front desk. When I first joined 8 years ago, my brokerage, there was agents in the office all the time. It was a poppin' place to be. Now you go into the office, it is a ghost town. Nobody works from the office anymore, which is true. Times have changed. People don't want to work in an office. I think 2020 showed us we can work from home. Why would we go back? Why would we commute, spend more time away from our families in traffic than needed? If you know what I'm saying. So much of real estate can be done from home. Obviously, we already need to leave the house when we're going to be showing a house or meeting a seller at a listing or going to the title company to close. But why would we need to leave again when we're going to just be sitting in our office? Why would we need to leave? You don't need to. I've even heard from agents who are in the commercial real estate space that commercial real estate has changed and things are a little tough in that area because people don't want to go back to the office, which you could argue that that's not a good thing because people are social and it's important to be around other humans, but is being at the office the best way to socialize? Is that really the best place to have community? I mean, I don't go into an office and I have plenty of community. So that's a whole other conversation in itself, especially if you're a realtor, if you're at the office working and you're talking to people, you're probably not really doing anything dollar producing. So if you are an agent and you're actually making money, you're probably not talking to other agents at your office. So that's a whole other rabbit trail that we're not going to go down. But all this to say is that the conversations I'm having with agents are sounding very, very similar. Very, very similar. They're telling me the same things all over the country, that their brokerage had to downsize to a smaller office because nobody wants to come into the office anymore. Their office meetings, they used to be awesome. Now they suck. Their principal broker, this is one I hear all the time. Their principal broker used to sit in the office all day. That was her job. Now you only get a hold of your principal broker on the phone. You never see them. They are never in the office. These are things I'm hearing from agents. So I know the real estate industry is changing. I truly do not believe that brick and mortar brokerages will be around in 20 years. I don't want to go as far as saying 5 years, maybe 10, but 20 years, I'm going to just say this for sure. I don't think brick and mortar brokerages are going to be here, because why and how would they compete with technology-based brokerages that work for agents' lives so much better? And it's not just about keeping more of the commission, because I know I used to always think it was so dumb to switch brokerages for a better commission split, because I was always like, well, you're kind of getting what you pay for. Why would, like, the whole goal is to make a lot of money in real estate. So why are we being stingy and being like, oh, I want 100% of my commission? Like, who cares? Just make more money. Like, that was always my mindset, which it still kind of is. And I would never switch just for the purpose of saving more of your money. Although there are agents I've talked to that have switched from a brick and mortar brokerage to Real Broker. They're agents who are selling a lot of real estate and are now saving like $60,000 a year because of the fees and the splits and all the things that they're not paying for anymore, because that is more desirable. But that's never been like my mindset, and I would never switch just because of that. And I think there's so many more reasons just besides that the brick and mortar dinosaur brokerage is going to be out of business. And the lights will not be on anymore. They will not be there anymore. So let's just go down this list and talk about it. The first reason is that is an outdated business model. It is overhead heavy. You're paying office leases, utilities, furniture, staffing. Costs are passed down to agents. That's so true. There's so many things. It costs so much money to keep one of those brokerages going. Agents are paying for desk fees that they do not use. My husband and I were top producers at our last brokerage. Therefore, we had our own private office room that we could go into at the office. We still had to pay rent for it, though. Although it was our office and we earned it, whatever, we still had to pay rent for that space. And we never, ever used it. We used it the first few years we had it. And then once we had our daughter, we're working from home. We're with her. We're as a family. We're at home. We're not using our office space. It just didn't make sense for us. But we still had to pay for it. Leadership is slow to innovate, clinging to legacy systems. That's very true. You're going to see a lot of outdated training at a brick and mortar brokerage. I remember sitting through many, many social media trainings that were taught by old dudes. Nothing wrong with old dudes at all, but these old dudes did not have a strong social media presence. They were not getting tons of leads from these, but they were for some reason teaching these classes, probably because at a brick and mortar brokerage, how do you get someone to teach your class? Like how do you get the top producer at your brokerage to teach their competition what's working for them? No, they're not going to do that. That's not going to work. And I bet if you looked around at all the agents at these big brick and mortar brokerages, there's probably one of them who's actually utilizing social media at a high level for their business, if not none. However, at Real Broker, I need to take a drink. They have creative incentives, some serious incentives for agents who are making millions of dollars a year in real estate. It is a very, very high, threshold. It's a high, like you got to make a lot of money, like a lot more than probably anybody at your brick and mortar office is making. Let's be real, in your little town, in sales, as a realtor, you have to make a ton of money in order to be eligible to teach one of the classes at Real Broker. These classes go on, they're mastermind style, so you don't have to leave your house. They go on every day. There's like 4 to 6 a day. They are taught by agents that many of them are making millions of dollars a year as a real estate agent. Your classes at your brick and mortar brokerage are not being taught by agents that are making $1 million a year in real estate. I can almost guarantee, at least not your weekly, consistent classes. And not only is that who's teaching these classes, but they gave these agents an incentive. I think they get like $16,000 a year in stocks if they teach these. Don't quote me on that. I could be wrong, but they give them a lot of free money in stocks for teaching these classes. So they have an incentive, because like I said earlier, why is the top producer at your brokerage going to teach his competition in his town how to do, what he's doing to get business? He's not going to. But Real's created an incentive. These agents are all over the US and Canada, so they're probably not even in your direct market or anywhere close to you. But they're teaching you in real time exactly what's working for them. these exact strategies to sell real estate at a really high level. And not only that, but you can join these masterminds live and ask them questions. It's like having them as your mentors. Where else do you get to do this? And not only that, but every single agent that I've seen that is utilizing social media marketing, but especially video marketing at an extremely high level in the real estate industry, all of them are with Real Broker. I don't know and can't think of a single one that is not with Real Broker. That is who is teaching these classes. I just got off a Zoom call with a super cool agent the other side of the country, and he is wanting to start utilizing video marketing as a real estate agent. And that's one of the reasons he's leaving his brokerage, because he wants to join Real Broker, because he knows that's where he's going to find the training that's going to teach him how to do it at a really high level. Like, they're literally laying out the blueprint, the game plan, exactly how to do it. There's no excuses not to do it and have it work for you, because they're telling you exactly what to do. All you got to do is just follow it. So the leadership at brick and mortar brokerages is slow to innovate. If you do hear social media training or video marketing training, it's probably going to be outdated, very outdated. And if not, though, you're probably not even going to get training on that. You're probably going to get more training on like sphere of influence, open houses, those things, which you'll get at Real too. You'll get at Real too, but it's not like the main focus. They're a tech-focused company, tech-first company. There is no scalability at these big brick and mortar franchise brokerages. Localized growth tied to physical offices and geographical expansion. Difficulty adapting to remote work, digital paperwork, and virtual showings. Limited support structure for multi-state or remote teams. Real Broker makes it so easy to have a team that is all over the country, have a team all over the state with agents all over your state, not just in your specific town at your specific brokerage, or just to scale. Like, there's so many opportunities, which we're not going to, maybe we will. I don't know if we'll get into that today, but I have plenty of videos about Real Broker, so you can find them on my playlist on my channel. Lack of wealth building opportunities for agents, no stock, no revenue share. So let's just break that down and sit on this for a second. Traditional model splits rarely reward top producers fairly. The way that the model works at Real Broker is the more houses you sell, the more you're going to be rewarded. The agents that are selling more houses than not, I guess you could say, they're going to have more free stock sitting in their stock account at the end of the year. Your traditional brokerage isn't giving you anything for selling houses besides a piece of paper at your award ceremony and maybe a trophy, but who cares? Who cares? You can't liquidate that in 2 years and take it on a vacation. You can't do that. I was on a 60-40 split when I started at my brick and mortar brokerage, and that is very, very common for brick and mortar brokerages. At Real Broker, the split is 85-15. Everyone starts at the same split. So at a brick and mortar brokerage, some people are negotiating, trying to get better splits. At a Real Broker, everyone starts on the same split, 85-15 until you cap. Then you keep 100% of the commission, and it is a $12,000 cap versus, like, I don't know, a $60,000 cap at a brick and mortar brokerage. Basically, if you're not familiar with those terms, that just means you're going to be able to keep 100% of your commission a lot sooner than at a brick and mortar brokerage. Well, I don't think brick and mortars usually do 100% of your commission, but you're going to cap sooner. And then lack of scalability. Yeah, so there's no opportunities for agents to invest in their stock at their company. At Real Broker, they give you free stock for just reaching milestones in your business. And I could pull up on my phone and show you the money in my stock account that I have at Real Broker just from being there for not even 2 years yet at the time of filming this. Some of this stock I can pull out now. Some of it I can pull out and like it'll be vested in next fall or this upcoming fall. So like a few months away. And then some of it's not for like another year after that, but it's growing and it's substantial. It's actually something I can literally take and use and do something awesome with, or leave in there like, my husband and I plan to do and just keep growing. You do not get that at a brick and mortar brokerage. And how did we get that stock? Literally from doing things that we would be doing anyway, from reaching milestones in our business, from selling houses, from reaching our cap. All those things you do, you get free stock for. And of course, there's revenue share. This has a bad rap in some people's minds. It used to have a bad rap in my mind because I thought of MLMs, which it is not. But if you aren't educated about it, you might think it is, but it is not. I thought of recruitment, which it is not. Basically, though, there is a model to where you have the opportunity to grow a network at your company, and you can make passive income from that every single month from growing a network of agents all over the US and Canada. And if anyone has questions about this, if you're like, Mariah, you've somewhat grown a network. How can I do what you're doing? How can I grow a network? Talk to me. I'm happy to help. I'm happy to set up a Zoom call with you or a phone call with you. I'd love to chat with you more about it. But that is passive income that you do not get at a brick and mortar brokerage. I was able to leave the country for, 3+ months last year and live in Mexico with my family. And we had passive income coming in every month from this source of income. That was not the case if I was still at my brick and mortar brokerage. I would have no passive income coming in every month if I was still at my brick and mortar brokerage. But on top of that, I would have all these fees I'm paying. There's no monthly fees at Real Broker. So you can't do things like that at a brick and mortar brokerage. And I think the way the world has changed, more things are online. People want remote work. Like, people want passive income. You will not ever get there at a brick and mortar brokerage. But at a brokerage like Real Broker, there's so much opportunity to actually grow into a life you want like that. Leadership and vision. Visionary leadership from Tamir at Real Broker and the executive team. I know every agent I have talked to at Real is extremely happy with the leadership at Real Broker, so I'm just gonna leave it there. Real Broker is focused on sustainable growth, agent wealth, and long-term innovation. It thinks like a company. Real Broker thinks like a tech company, not a traditional brokerage. I believe Real Broker considers themselves first a tech company and then a real estate brokerage. Cloud-based is the new normal. Agents no longer need physical offices. They just need Wi-Fi. And I truly do not think that as new agents come into the market, as the older, more slower to change their mind, slower to try new things, I guess you could say, more set in their ways, as the older generation that's more like that of agents, I don't want to say dies off because that sounds really bad, but as they, I hope they don't die off. I hope they live a long, long time. As they retire off, let's just say that, as they smooth their way out of the business, and then Gen Z continues to come on into the business more and more so, they're not going to be signing up for these brick and mortar brokerages. I am sorry. That is not what Gen Z wants. I am a Gen Z myself, and so I would know. And these are all things that I talk about often on this channel. The flexibility, time freedom, the collaboration that happens between agents or can happen. Those are things I'm going after. And if you follow me on this channel, you can go after them with me. Those are things I'm passionate about, being intentional in my business and really like building my business around my life instead of my life around my business. So if that's something you're interested in, subscribe to this channel and hit the notification bell and head over to my channel. And I have a handful of playlists you'll probably be interested in. But that's the direction that agents are going. That's what Gen Z, at least, wants, I believe. And the traditional brick and mortar style brokerages, they're not offering that whatsoever. It is the end of the franchise era. Franchises are restrictive, expensive, and slow to adapt. Independent agents, as well as big teams, small teams, brokerages themselves, independent brokerages, are flocking to models like Real Broker that give them control and upside. Brick and mortar brokerages are dinosaurs in the digital jungle. Real Broker offers agents more income, more freedom, and more opportunity. The future of real estate is already here, and it is 100% cloud-based. I can't believe I'm saying that, but I am. Agents who don't pivot are going to get left behind. Real is not just a brokerage. It is a movement redefining the real estate agent experience. I'm going to just end it at that. Oh, no, I'm not going to end it at that. I told you guys I would say my thoughts on cloud-based brokerages, and then I'll let you know how have they changed, all of that. So before I joined a cloud-based brokerage myself, my thoughts of cloud-based brokerage was kind of like, if you join a cloud-based brokerage, you're going to be on an island with no support, no help, no one to call, no one to help you. You're going to be on your own. And from what I found is that I actually have more support here at Real Broker than I did at a big brick and mortar franchise brokerage, which is the whole reason usually people join big brick and mortar franchise brokerages. Okay. I do have more support. Now, there is not going to be training classes. Like, for example, if you were to ask me, what will the first 3 months look like if I join Real Broker? What are the first 3 months going to look like? Well, it's really up to you. It's not going to be like, oh, at this brokerage, you go into person and you have every Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, you have a new training class for agents from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. Like, it's not going to be like that. It's going to be like, it's up to you to decide what training you tap into. If and when you need help and support, it is always there. There's like 5 different ways to get support, 5 different like sources you can call on for support at Real Broker. I have explained and gone in depth. I don't want to be redundant for those of you who watch all my videos. So go find those videos on my channel. I have, like I said, you can find out everything you need to know about Real Broker on my channel. But there's a handful of ways to get support at Real Broker, and I was very, very wrong. I thought that I would be technologically lost and need tons of help. That has not been the case. The technology is very high tech, but it's also easy to use and simplified. I would say even easier to use and more simplified than at my previous brokerage, while it is way more high tech than at my previous brokerage. And lastly, I thought nobody would know who I'm with. And your brokerage always tells you, like, you need to have our name behind you to get listings. And honestly, that's not true. If that were true, then why do like 90% of the agents at a big brick and mortar brokerage still not sell any houses? Like, why is that still the case? No, that's not because of their brand. It's not why they get, there's top producing agents at every brokerage, and there's no not producing agents at every brokerage. That's just the way that it is. And maybe people cared about brokerage names in the 80s and 70s. People do not care anymore. This new generation, especially coming in and buying houses, does not care or know. In fact, at Real Broker, you can brand yourself instead of branding your brokerage. You don't have to have everything the specific shade of purple, burgundy, whatever your brokerage is. You can really grow your own brand instead of growing your brokerage's brand. I'm going to leave it at that. Thank you guys for hanging out with me today. If you grabbed value from today's video, hit the thumbs up button. If you didn't, hit the thumbs down button. If you're an agent watching this video and you have a client relocating to Oregon, send them my way. My husband and I are a real estate team in Oregon, and we would love to help your clients or people and give you a referral fee. And lastly, if you are a fellow real estate agent and you're watching this video, leave a comment below and let me know what market you're in. I'd love to chat with you guys and send you guys referrals and see where you guys are watching from below. So leave a comment, and I'll see you guys next week.